Welcome. And what we're going to be talking about is diversity and equity in counseling, and particularly the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development. And to talk about this today, we have Dr. Kim Lee Hughes, and she is the 2020-2021 president of the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development. So Dr. Hughes, I'm really glad to have you here with us today.
So pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and this is a very important topic. A lot of clinicians need support. We definitely need transformation and healing throughout our country and understanding and further equity. And so, if you can just explain, what are the underlying issues around diversity and equity in counseling within our country that really need to be addressed and worked on?
Ooh, that's a big question, Ray. But
Yes, a very big question.
But
Probably many layers to it, probably.
It does. But this is the work that I've been doing, I think, all of my life as a professional. And what I believe as the president of the Association of Multicultural Counseling and Development is that there are several counselors of color in the field. However, communities of color are not always aware of the benefits of counseling, number one. And then number two, when they do become aware, how to find counselors, how to operate within insurance, formalities, et cetera. So I think that while the need continues to expand, the knowledge base about how to access it does not. So that's why this relationship is exciting.
Yeah, I see. Excellent. So along those lines, well, yeah, are there any say statistics or examples that could really help us understand that issue, in a concrete way?
Sure. And I'm a qualitative researcher. And even though there are definitely numbers and statistics around this phenomenon, what I can tell you is, as a narrative researcher, the experiences of people of color who have gone to counseling has often been one of misunderstanding how to broach race and ethnicity issues in the counseling room. So we frequently do ourselves a disservice as counselors by not embracing issues of intersectionality as we are building rapport with our clients. So as a country, we tend to be uncomfortable around race, ethnicity issues, things that make us different than other people tend to push us away from them instead of making us curious about them. And as a person of color who attends counseling and has done counseling for most of my adult life, I can say that most of my personal counselors have not been African American. And I had to be an informed consumer and ask these questions myself. And my counselors didn't always know to ask me in the beginning. So that's why this kind of relationship is important, because I think just asking what we don't know is a great place to start. Like, start with curiosity as opposed to creating distance around what is different about you from me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that kind of addresses the multicultural aspect, right? The intersectionality, of privilege and discrimination and differences of the ethnicity and race between the clinician and the client.
So Ray, I'm going to speak there too, because I think frequently white people think that all people of color are somehow having capital issues, class-based issues. Being a person of color does not mean you're not middle or upper class. So the issue of class is a big issue in this country, and we don't tend to understand that everybody has green money. And you don't necessarily know how much money I have when I walk into your office, when I call for your services, when my insurance company pairs us together because I'm a, you know, I am a consumer and you're a provider. And so we need to be more courageous when we're having these conversations and not make so many assumptions about other individuals, which we see is just getting us in a big heap of trouble as a country.
So, that's one of the goals of the Association for Multicultural Counseling Development, is to expand that awareness and have clinicians have these conversations with their clients. Is that's one of the goals?
That is
And in
the
your
number one goal.
yeah,
That's the
okay,
number one goal.
that's the number one goal. Okay, great. Yeah. So in your experience, people of color, have difficulty with this in the counseling that they receive, right?
So
What a-
I also want to, and I'm sorry, right? Because I am so excited about these topics. I talk about them. I'm just kind of bubbling over.
Great. That's what we're here for.
Right. And so we're the Association of Multicultural Counseling and Development, which means all people of color within ACA fall into this division. But what I want to be clear about is I'm a Black woman. I was born here in the United States, right? I grew up here in America. So my positionality as a 53-year-old Black woman is going to be very different than a 30-year-old Asian woman, but we're all lumped together. And we are here to say we are united, but we are not the same.
And having conversations about cultural differences between the clinician and client, right? That's what you're saying is really important. And can you give a description as to why that's an important aspect of the therapy process?
Yeah, because I believe it opens up the window for authentic healing. You can't really build a clinical rapport with a client who doesn't trust you. And our profession has become so medicalized, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We want insurance benefits, we want all of the perks, we want to be taken seriously for all the work we do to earn these degrees. And so I'm all for us having the ability to have insurance, to have parity across, as many states as we can. And we had a big win here in Georgia recently. And so I'm really looking forward to how our work can continue to grow and serve. And as we are doing that, we need to be intentional about not doing harm. Maybe not closing doors to communities that would seek this service because we misrepresented ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can you speak to the equity piece? Is there maybe statistics or examples that could really give us an understanding of the issue of equity in counseling?
So what I would say, I can give you several examples about how this type of thinking has become a toxic stain on us as a society and increased the need for the use of mental health services. Just over this last month, the amount of violent instances that have happened in communities of color, perpetrated in many cases by other members of color or people of color going into white communities and doing some very painful things. We had a mass shooting here within the AAPI community recently. So we are witnessing that not having these conversations in a real, productive, and healthy way is hurting all communities. And we have to be brave enough to call things what they are so that they don't fester and create kind of what we're doing is mushrooming mental disorder instead of really fostering mental health.
Yeah, so it sounds like the goals of the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development is beyond, say, empowering the therapist or informing the therapist or helping the therapist uh, be skilled at having these conversations with their clients. It sounds like it goes beyond that. It's about transformation of society at whole.
Yeah, because the ACA Code of Ethics has moved us past being multiculturally competent to being allies in spaces where services need to happen. And so I tell my students, because even though I don't currently practice clinical mental health, I do currently teach several master's students how to become clinical mental health practitioners. And I let them know if the work you do inside your office doesn't reflect the work you do in the communities you serve, mm, that's people that's not authentic. That is, that is building your own wealth and esteem. And I'm all for people having productive businesses. I think this is a vital time for clinicians to take advantage of building their practices. And so I applaud that. The Association of Multicultural Counseling and Development has a focus and emphasis on clinicians this year, because as a professor, I'm aware that an organization like ACA is really top heavy. We tend to put a lot of intentionality on our professors and not as much on our clinicians, which is a mistake. And this partnership with you and AMCD is an attempt to be really transparent about our willingness and desire to grow. And it's been showing because we've grown by 90%. I told you 60%, 66% last time. Since then, we have grown by 90%.
Oh my goodness. And we didn't talk very long ago. That's incredible. Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about how did it get started? So how did the association start?
Sure. So the association is about to celebrate its 50th year in 2022. And it started as the Association for Non-White Concerns. It's where it started those 50 years ago. And over time, in alliance with other divisions of ACA, became the Association of Multicultural Counseling and Development. It was formalized for exactly the reasons I talked about. Within ACA, the perception at that time is that the interests that were being served were predominantly white interests. And as more and more people of color began to join the association, leaders and great thinkers like Dr. Cortland Lee, for instance, came together and decided that people of color banding together had more equity and strength than if we kind of siloed into these different race ethnicity groups on our own. And we're still standing tall with that kind of positionality today. I would say when I started, we had 981 members. We're up to 10,081 members. And I believe that has happened, number one, because we are aware of the deep roots we have as an organization. So it didn't start with me. People have been kind of getting excited about this 50th anniversary for the last 2 or 3 years, and now it's coming. So I think we see the growth there. But also the idea that this pandemic has made us all have to really be so much more reflective and really think about what organizations we're tied to and how they foster our beliefs. And I'm proud to say that AMCD is answering that question for a lot of people. So that makes me feel like what we started and intended to do, even though as an association, ACA has experienced some loss in membership, we have continued to grow. And I think that's a beautiful story for where we are as a country.
Certainly, I think it really speaks to where people's values are, what's really important to them, what they want to see happen. Definitely. So can you share some of the successes of the association over time?
Sure. So over time, we have competencies, race and ethnicity competencies, and those competencies have been used by all of the divisions of ACA. They were updated in 2017. And so not only did we set the standard, we continued to innovate within that realm. We started having our on-ground conferences in 2017, and we planned to have an on-ground conference this year, but as you know, that's not going to happen. But we will be having an online conference in June, and that is a tradition that I'm proud of, because before we would partner with kind of state divisions. And so as we continue to grow, we put our members' monies in a trust to grow what we do and to hopefully be able to connect and reach them more effectively. So just yesterday, we launched what we call the Mighty Network, which is an AMCD version of Facebook in essence. And so we want to continue to have ways for our members to reach and talk with us and have that be an ongoing kind of relationship.
Yeah.
And that's something that's big that we really haven't had an opportunity to do before.
So is that an online forum on the association's website?
It will. So effective this week, it's linked to our website, and we are launching an updated website next month.
Okay.
Right. And so
Yeah.
I have, because of where we are and because our 50th anniversary was always coming, I have labeled myself the bridge president from the beginning.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to be sure our house was solidly built, so
Mhm.
that when we do have our huge party in person next year in Atlanta, and everybody, we hope you come,
Yeah.
that we'll be in a good position. And that's what we're doing.
Great. And what has been done with the competencies that were developed, and what do you hope what else do you hope will be done with those competencies? How will they be implemented and used?
Sure. So our conference, 2 years ago, we had an on-ground conference at UCF, and the president-elect of ACA is Dr. Kent Butler. Dr. Kent Butler is a past president of AMCD and was a author on the competencies as well. And so his presidency for ACA is going to be tied to the constructs of the competencies that he helped to develop. So there's really no way to separate where ACA is going from what AMCD has become, because the next two presidents of ACA will be past presidents of AMCD. So what we are going to continue to see, and what I predict, is that members of AMCD will continue to be leaders of ACA, so that the products that our division produces, even though they're already national, will just continue to elevate like our numbers.
Yeah, so I'd imagine it would be like continuing education courses on the competencies, integrated into graduate programs. Is that discussions like webinar discussions through organizations?
So we have a rigorous webinar program right now.
Mhm.
And we have done webinars for our members for free for probably about 6 years. So we were one of the first divisions, and it's one of the ways I became the president is because I did a lot of these webinars, which are still available on our website, so we have a robust webinar program, and our members get them for free. Non-members can have access for like $5. So it's not an expensive undertaking. And because AMCD was so successful with doing webinars, it has continued to expand. So I think that really maybe the underlying story is, as a community, people of color have frequently been the seed that much of what we consider to be kind of just American or just what we do as a country, it's come from the rich tapestry of diversity that we get to claim all of this richness. And I just want to be sure that we acknowledge where all these lovely pieces originated.
Yeah. Yeah. So are there events that celebrate different cultures and diversity?
Yes. So most definitely. So this year in particular, my focus was leadership. We have 6 vice presidents representing 6 different racial ethnic identities. And when we think about that, one of the new identities that we added 3 new identities. So women was one of the identities, which was an interesting kind of look at it, but we now have a women's vice president. We have a vice president for international members, and we have a vice president for multiracial members. So those were important new categories, and really kind of a look at what's happening in the world now, right? When we think about race and ethnicity, it's not just black, white, it really is an array of differences that we're seeing. And as a result, each of those vice presidents will have a number of events. So one I can think of really easily was February was Black History Month. We had a month of events. AAPI Concerns Month is now. We're having a month of events. Women's History Month was also here in March. And so each of the vice presidents will have webinars, activities, just events that they put forward. Sometimes they will have like small group meetings, right? So there is a lot of healing, gathering, and educating that happens within the division. And we make it available to members outside. So updating our website is going to really push a lot of these products to the forefront.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And I think clinicians probably want a safe place, a place that they can trust, where the leaders themselves are competent to be able to explore and develop and be empowered to, move some change in their own communities. So I like that forum. I look forward to seeing that, where people can, feel safe to kind of explore these things. And I would imagine at some of these events, you have like small groups for discussion where people feel safe to explore and develop.
100%. And so more and more frequently, so Dr. Sutherland and I met with the current Vice President of African American Concerns, Dr. Michelle Mitchell, and she joined with two doctors from UCF, University of Central Florida, and they did a support group discussions for Black women over a couple of months. And this is something that different vice presidents do at a different levels on a frequent basis. So the Latinx community has had a listserv and meet really robustly and regularly and really always have. Same thing with the AAPI community. So our bylaws, are loose enough where the vice presidents can decide how their groups meet, but the mandate to be connected to your group and to understand what's happening, that is, I think, the thing that makes us exceptional. And I hope that members of your audience will consider joining us or at least visiting with us, because even though we're growing, there's always room for you.
Yes, yeah, that's and the way to get involved, what are the different ways to get involved?
So you have to be a member of ACA first.
Okay.
And that is the bigger ticket item, right? That cost a couple of $100, depending on where you are in your own trajectory. If you're a student, it's a little cheaper. And then there's an additional $40 to join a division. So we're pretty inexpensive once you get in the door.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you become a member.
Mhm.
And then what are some other key ways to be involved after you become a member?
So ACA as an organization has a journal. AMCD has our own journal. So once you become a member of ACA, you would have access to both of those journals, which for me as a researcher is invaluable.
Mhm.
You would have access to community resources, job postings, client access possibilities, insurance discounts. So being a member of ACA has a number of benefits, and the add-on is access to AMCD, where we then, we nurture you personally while they get you ready professionally, and then we'll hug and take care of your spirit.
Excellent. Yeah, and one thing that I've been thinking about this year is, there needs to be an organization with authority and influence and research to speak out against really harmful statements that other people of influence make. So when someone of influence makes a statement that instigates racism and discrimination that is extremely harmful and scary, having an association authority that's research database that says this kind of thing is very dangerous, very harmful, and inaccurate, to kind of stomp out these harmful things that could come up as soon as possible. Just wonder if you could say something about that.
So that is exactly what I do. and one of the things that maybe gave me the courage to become a faculty member and now a president of association is because I believe the work is too important for me to, it's great when I can help one person, but if I can help 1,000, isn't that even better? And I think we don't reject enough of the foolishness. We are afraid of the consequences, and they are real. We all need our own safety. We need money. We need to take care of ourselves, and self-care is vital. But self-care has kept us in some very toxic political situations. And as counselors, we are healers. We're the soul of the nation. And this is valuable work to be done. And somebody's going to take it on the chin. And I want you guys to know I look kind of cute today, but it's because my chin is all bruised up. I take it on the chin daily. And I think we have to, and I say, my students don't know what I'm saying, you got to put some skin in the game. You have to be willing to lose a little something to gain a whole bunch of equity.
Yeah, yeah. That's the truth of it. And maybe doing, like you said, doing that on your own can be scary and very intimidating. But being a part of an association, you know, like you said, power in numbers brings tears to my eyes for some reason.
No, I've been feeling very emotional these last few days
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are growing our resource base from a technology standpoint. Not me. I have a great team, communications team. So I am being sincere. We would love your membership. And I have shared my email is president@AMCD, really an easy thing, but sincerely, if I can be of assistance, do not be afraid to email me.
Excellent. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Dr. Hughes. This has been very helpful. And you know,
Right.
as you listen to this, check out ACA, check out the Association for Multicultural Counseling and Development. You know, check out the webinars, the resources, the competencies, all the incredible work that clinicians have been put into what they've developed. And you can help out by being a member and getting involved and feel empowered. So thanks a lot, Dr. Hughes. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.